I'm sitting here at 32, staring at my laptop screen in complete disbelief. 3 weeks ago, I thought I was living the perfect modern love story with my fiancé, David. We'd been together for 5 amazing years, building what I believed was an unshakable foundation of trust and shared dreams. Now I'm looking at evidence that makes my blood run cold, wondering how I could have been so blind to the elaborate digital conspiracy happening right under my nose. David and I met through a dating app, ironic considering how this story ends. He was this charming software engineer with piercing blue eyes and an infectious laugh that could light up any room. I was working as a freelance graphic designer, just starting to gain traction with some high-profile clients. We clicked instantly over our shared love of hiking, craft beer, and late-night Netflix binges. Before we dive deeper into today's story, if you're finding this as shocking as I was, please hit that subscribe button. Your support helps me continue sharing these eye-opening tales that might just help someone else avoid a similar nightmare. The proposal happened last spring during a weekend getaway to the mountains. Nothing elaborate, just the two of us, a campfire, and a ring he'd been secretly saving for. When he dropped to one knee beside that crackling fire, asking me to be his wife, I felt like the luckiest woman alive. We spent that entire night planning our future together, talking about the wedding, kids, maybe starting a design studio together. For the first few months after our engagement, David seemed genuinely excited about wedding planning. He'd research venues with me, taste test caterers, and even helped design our save-the-date cards. But then something shifted. It started subtly. He'd seemed distracted during our planning sessions, constantly checking his phone with this secretive expression that made my stomach twist. The first red flag came during a dinner party at his brother Marcus's apartment downtown. Marcus worked in cybersecurity and always had the latest tech gadgets scattered around his place. We were playing this viral party game where you answer personal questions without filtering your thoughts. Everyone was laughing and sharing embarrassing stories until someone asked the killer question, "What's something you've done recently that your partner doesn't know about?" Without missing a beat, David said, "I've been tracking Lauren's location and messages for months." The entire room went silent. You could hear a pin drop. David immediately tried to backpedal, laughing nervously and saying, just making sure she gets home safe from client meetings. You know how dangerous the city can be. I forced a smile, but inside I was reeling. When we got to the car later, I confronted him about it. "What did you mean about tracking my location and messages?" He brushed it off like I was overreacting. "Come on, Lauren. It's just basic safety stuff. Find my friends, you know? Don't read into it." He reached over and squeezed my hand, flashing that devastating smile that usually melted my defenses. "You're the one I'm marrying, remember?" I let it slide because I didn't want to create drama over what might have been nothing. But that seed of doubt took root and started growing like a digital cancer. After that night, David's behavior became impossible to ignore. He was constantly on his phone, typing messages with this focused intensity that made me feel invisible. Client meetings started getting mysteriously canceled at the last minute. Potential clients would suddenly go silent or claim they'd found someone else. "Sorry, babe," David would say when I'd come home frustrated. "The market's just competitive right now." The breaking point came on a Tuesday evening in October. I'd left my laptop at a coffee shop and had to use David's computer to finish a rush project for a new client. When I opened his browser, I expected to see his usual programming forums and GitHub repositories. Instead, I found something that made my world tilt off its axis. Multiple tabs were open to social media accounts that looked exactly like mine. Same profile pictures, same bio information, same everything. But they weren't my accounts. Someone had created perfect duplicates and was actively messaging my potential clients, telling them I was unreliable, overpriced, or had taken on too many projects to deliver quality work. My hands started shaking as I scrolled through message after message, all sent from these fake accounts that looked like me, systematically destroying my professional reputation. When I heard David's key in the lock, I quickly screenshotted everything and closed the browser. "Hey babe, He called out, sounding completely normal. "How was your day?" I turned around, laptop still warm in my hands, studying his face. "Fine," I managed to say. "Just working on the Henderson logo design." The way his eyes flickered told me everything I needed to know. He knew about the Henderson project. He probably knew about all my projects. That night, while David slept beside me, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. I grabbed my phone and started scrolling through my social media accounts, looking for anything unusual. That's when I noticed it. Dozens of comments on my posts from accounts I didn't recognize, all making subtle digs about my work quality or questioning my professionalism. I spent the next 3 hours screenshotting everything, creating a digital trail of evidence that painted a horrifying picture. Someone wasn't just sabotaging my business, they were methodically destroying my online presence while I slept. The next morning, I called my best friend Sarah, a digital marketing expert who'd helped me build my online brand from scratch. After I told her everything, she came over with her laptop and some serious investigative tools. "Lauren," she said, pulling up analytics data that made my blood run cold, "this isn't random trolling. This is coordinated, systematic digital warfare. Someone with serious technical skills has been targeting you for months." She showed me the pattern, fake accounts created in batches, all following similar engagement patterns, all designed to tank my online reputation and credibility. The sophistication level suggested someone with professional-grade knowledge of social media algorithms and SEO manipulation. "Sarah," I whispered, "David's a software engineer. He understands all this stuff." She looked at me with pity in her eyes. "Honey, we need to dig deeper. This level of coordination, there might be more people involved." Over the next week, Sarah and I conducted a digital forensics investigation that would make the FBI proud. We discovered that the fake accounts weren't just targeting me, they were actively promoting another designer named Riley Chin, whose portfolio looked suspiciously similar to mine, but with projects I'd never seen before. I did some research on Riley and discovered she worked at TechFlow Solutions, the same company where Marcus, David's brother, was the head of cybersecurity. The pieces were falling into place like a nightmare puzzle. The confrontation had to be perfect. I couldn't just accuse David without ironclad proof. So Sarah and I set up a trap that would make him reveal everything. I created a fake client inquiry using a burner email account, reaching out to myself about a high-profile rebranding project worth $50,000. Then I casually mentioned to David that I'd received this amazing opportunity and was meeting with the client Friday afternoon. Friday morning, I pretended to leave for the meeting but actually parked around the corner and walked back to our apartment building. Using the spare key I'd hidden in the lobby plant, I snuck back into our place and set up my phone to record. David was at his computer, frantically typing messages on multiple accounts. I watched him access the fake versions of my social media profiles and send damaging messages to the fake client I'd created, trying to convince them that I was unreliable and suggesting they contact Riley Chin instead. But the smoking gun came when he called Marcus. I recorded the entire conversation from my hiding spot in the bedroom closet. "The Lauren situation is getting out of hand," David said into his phone. "She's landing bigger clients despite everything we've done. Riley's getting frustrated." Marcus's voice came through clearly. "We need to escalate. The reputation damage isn't working fast enough. What if we hack her actual accounts and post something really damaging?" "Like what?" David asked. "I don't know. Maybe some controversial political rants or complaints about past clients. Something that makes her look completely unprofessional." My heart was pounding so hard I thought they might hear it. These two men I'd trusted had been systematically destroying my career for months, all to boost some woman named Riley who was apparently David's. What? Side business partner? Something worse? "And after the wedding?" David continued. "We'll have access to her bank accounts, her client contracts, everything. Riley can take over completely and I'll get my cut." That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about sabotaging my business. David was planning to marry me to gain legal access to my assets and completely steal my professional identity. I stayed hidden until David left for work, then immediately called Sarah and my lawyer, Jennifer Walsh, a sharp-eyed attorney who specialized in intellectual property theft. Within hours, we had a plan that would expose their entire operation. The next phase required acting skills I didn't know I possessed. I had to pretend everything was normal while secretly documenting every aspect of their scheme. I installed monitoring software on our shared computer, set up hidden cameras in our apartment, and created fake client scenarios to test their responses. The evidence poured in like a digital avalanche. David and Marcus had created an entire network of fake accounts, not just targeting me, but several other freelance designers. Riley Chin wasn't just taking my clients. She was the centerpiece of a coordinated business theft operation that had been running for over a year. The breaking point came when I discovered they'd already started filing trademark applications for my logo designs under Riley's name. They weren't just stealing my current business, they were trying to legally claim ownership of my creative work. That's when I knew it was time to spring the trap. I arranged to meet David at our favorite restaurant downtown, where Marcus joined us for what David thought was a casual dinner. I wore a wire provided by Jennifer's investigator and brought along a tablet loaded with every piece of evidence we'd collected. So, I said casually over appetizers, I've been thinking about expanding my business. Maybe bringing on a partner. David's eyes lit up. That's a great idea. What kind of partner? Someone with technical skills. Maybe someone who understands social media marketing and online presence. I paused for effect. Actually, I've been researching this designer named Riley Chin. Her work is amazing. Marcus nearly choked on his wine. David's face went pale. I continued, sliding the tablet across the table. It's funny how similar her portfolio is to mine. Almost like she's been copying my style. On the screen were side-by-side comparisons of my original designs and Riley's suspiciously similar versions, complete with timestamps proving mine came first. Lauren, David started, but I held up my hand. I also found it interesting how many of my potential clients have been contacted by fake accounts pretending to be me, telling them I'm unreliable. I swiped to the next screen, showing the fake social media profiles. The technical sophistication is impressive. Almost like someone with professional cybersecurity skills was involved. Marcus stood up abruptly. I need to use the restroom. Sit down, Marcus, I said firmly. We're just getting to the good part. I played the audio recording of their phone conversation, watching their faces crumble as their own voices filled the restaurant booth. David tried to grab the tablet, but I pulled it away. You want to know the best part? I asked, my voice steady despite my racing heart. I've already filed complaints with the FBI's Cybercrime Division, the Federal Trade Commission, and the State Attorney General's office. Oh, and I've documented everything for a civil lawsuit that's going to cost you both everything you own. David slumped back in his seat, the color completely drained from his face. Lauren, you don't understand. This wasn't supposed to hurt you. We were trying to help you focus on our relationship instead of work. By stealing my identity and planning to rob me after our wedding? I laughed bitterly. That's not love, David. That's fraud. I stood up, leaving them both sitting there in stunned silence. You'll be hearing from my attorney. And David? The engagement is off. I'd rather be alone than married to a criminal. The legal proceedings moved faster than I expected. The FBI's cybercrime unit was very interested in Marcus's activities, especially when they discovered he'd been using his company's resources for personal cybercrime. David was charged with identity theft, wire fraud, and conspiracy. Marcus faced additional charges for computer crimes and abuse of his corporate position. Riley Chin, it turned out, was David's ex-girlfriend from college who'd been struggling as a freelance designer. When the authorities raided her apartment, they found evidence that she knew exactly where her clients were coming from and had been paying David and Marcus a percentage of every stolen contract. The three of them had been running this operation for 18 months, targeting multiple designers across the city. I wasn't their only victim. just their most successful target. During the trial, the prosecutor painted a clear picture of their systematic business identity theft ring. David and Marcus used their technical skills to create fake social media profiles, manipulate search engine results, and intercept potential client communications. Riley would then swoop in with suspiciously similar portfolio pieces and competitive pricing. When the judge read the sentences, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders that I hadn't realized I'd been carrying. David received 5 years in federal prison. Marcus got 7 years due to his abuse of corporate resources and position. Riley received 3 years and was ordered to pay restitution to all their victims. But the real victory came 6 months later when Jennifer helped me sue TechFlow Solutions for their employees' criminal misuse of company resources. The settlement was enough to completely rebuild my business and launch the design studio I'd always dreamed of. Today, exactly 2 years after discovering David's betrayal, I'm standing in my own design studio in the heart of downtown. The space is bright, modern, and completely mine. On the wall hangs a framed screenshot of my new website, which ranks #1 in local search results for graphic design services. My team of 6 designers handles everything from small business logos to major corporate rebranding projects. We've worked with everyone from local startups to Fortune 500 companies, and our reputation is built on talent, integrity, and authentic client relationships. Last month, I was featured on the cover of Design Entrepreneur magazine as Freelancer of the Year. The article detailed not just my business success, but how I'd overcome digital sabotage to build something even stronger. I never sought revenge against David, Marcus, or Riley. I didn't need to. Their own actions destroyed their reputations and careers far more effectively than anything I could have done. David lost his engineering job when his conviction became public. Marcus was blacklisted from the cybersecurity industry. Riley's name is permanently associated with intellectual property theft in design circles. Meanwhile, my studio has become a safe haven for other freelancers who've experienced similar attacks. We've partnered with cybersecurity firms to offer protection services and helped over 30 designers rebuild after digital sabotage. The experience taught me that sometimes the worst betrayal leads to the greatest breakthrough. If David hadn't revealed his true nature, I might have spent years in a marriage built on lies, never realizing my full potential as an entrepreneur. I don't know where David is now, and I don't care. I choose to focus on building something beautiful and authentic, surrounded by people who celebrate success instead of stealing it. To anyone going through something similar, document everything, trust your instincts, and don't be afraid to fight back. Sometimes the best response to betrayal isn't revenge. It's building a life so extraordinary that their sabotage becomes irrelevant. Your true worth can't be stolen, only revealed. And sometimes it takes a digital trap to show you just how valuable you really are. What do you think about Lauren's approach to handling this digital betrayal? Was justice served, or should she have pursued additional consequences? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more incredible stories of resilience and triumph.